I'm Chuck Burnson. I'm the Director of Operations at the Touchstone Institute, and I'm sitting down today with Taína and Mara to chat a little bit about their new foundational EMDR curriculum.
I'm Dr. Mara Tesler Stein. I am the founder and director of the Touchstone Institute. I'm a clinical psychologist and I have a PMHC. I specialize in all things perinatal, all things trauma, particularly with passion for the NICU and for perinatal loss. I am coming to you from Israel, where I am an EMDR trainer and consultant and an accredited EMDR Europe consultant as well.
My name is Taína Amaro. I'm the Director of Training for the Touchstone Institute. I am an LCSW PMHC coming to you from Connecticut, where I specialize in perinatal trauma and fertility issues, as well as medical trauma.
To start, I would love to hear from the two of you. Why did you decide to do this enormous project? How did you decide that it was a good fit and at the right time for you to design a new foundational EMDR curriculum?
We were at a point where we wanted to be able to give shape to the way that we approach perinatal mental health, and that is from a developmental lens. And while this curriculum is adaptable for all specialty groups and anybody with trauma, we really feel like the way that we understand trauma and the way that it unfolds for people starts very early. And so understanding how a person gets built, how development goes, is really critical to how we teach about trauma, how we teach about a person's strengths. And we wanted to also be able to shape our demonstrations and our questions and our examples to the training cohort that we're working with as well. How about for you, Taína?
The ability to continue to provide this space where other perinatal mental health specialists, people who are working with similar cases, could really find community, because that's one of the things that for a lot of people is very lacking, especially during these last years of COVID, right? So, how do we continue to create this community? And I think that one of those
Mhm.
steps was to create the curriculum.
And why EMDR? Why would the two of you like to see more EMDR practitioners in the world?
DR is a fantastic modality, and there are other fantastic modalities. This just happens to be one that really works for me and for many of my clients. So we also have practitioners who work with Touchstone who do brain spotting, right? So we're looking at what it means to provide the most evidence-based strategies for our clients, and EMDR is one of those.
Absolutely. And I think just to piggyback on what you're saying, the trauma-focused treatments are so important when we're working with any kind of trauma, certainly, and in the perinatal period, so that we can remobilize the sort of typical process of development for individuals and for families. And by coming at trauma in a very methodical, evidence-based way, we really can see this movement in ways that are different than other more talk-oriented kinds of treatment.
For people who know they want to learn EMDR and are starting out this path, can you tell us a little bit about what this training process looks like?
Sure. It is 6 full days of training plus 10 hours of consultation with a member of our team. The training time itself is half lecture and discussion and half face-to-face practicum with a partner in the training supported by our team, so that people are not just learning theory, they're really right away putting it into practice. And we then support you in immediately after the first 3-day block, bringing the treatment model and method into your own clinical work right away. Because the way to learn this really is to do it, and to do it with expert, good support.
Wonderful. And I know for myself, if you Google EMDR training, you will come up with about 1,000 search results. And I'm curious to hear why this training. If someone were to stumble upon the Touchstone Institute who perhaps hasn't worked with us before, what can you tell people about what makes this training really distinct?
So, what I would say is that when I originally trained, I trained with a cohort that had a wide array of expertise. And while that was wonderful, as I've had the opportunity to retrain with a perinatal cohort where all of the practitioners were perinatal, it creates a different level of learning and understanding.
I agree. I think that being able to ask the kinds of questions that we get to ask because we all really understand the population and the kinds of issues that people are grappling with and the implications of the things that people have gone through, we really can get into some deeper discussions, and we also build community. We really right away build community in the training, not only between participants, but between participants and facilitators and me, the trainer. So we're really trying to alleviate that sense of isolation that you can get as a perinatal provider in the big therapy universe, where you might be the only person in a room of 100 who works knowingly, intentionally with this population. So there's a lot to be gained from that environment.
Awesome. And then finally, I would just love to hear what you two are most excited about launching this first round of our new training. I've watched the two of you spend hundreds of hours making this training happen. And so would love to hear what you're feeling excited about.
I think for me, creating this space that really feels like home for perinatal practitioners. I also love a lot of the work that we've done around explaining this in a way that works for not only our brains, but we try to involve different learning styles. So, what does it look like for people who have different learning styles who are also trying to access this curriculum where sitting for 3 hours of lecture might not be the best thing for their brain? So, we want to be very focused and centered around people's individual needs while meeting the requirements for an EMDRIA approved training.
Absolutely. And I think that the access needs and being really tuned in and responsive, receptive to what we're hearing from people in the training is just so much of how we build everything we do. So I'm really excited to meet all the people in the training. I'm really excited to teach this in a way that Taína, you and I laid out in terms of how we think we want to scaffold things, how we want to build it, how we like to explain things, and then take in from the participants how this is going, and then be able to really fine tune even as we're going so that people can have the best learning experience. And we can learn how to provide a better and better learning experience even over the course of days. And we've been doing EMDR trainings for years and years now. We're not new to EMDR training, but it's so nice when this curriculum is ours to tweak and fine tune. I'm really excited about that. And I love teaching EMDR. I love teaching EMDR in general. So it's really exciting to be able to do this, but with the curriculum that we created. So I can't wait.
Wonderful. Thank you both so much.